In this final lecture of the week, I discuss the importance of supporting children with reading disabilities. Despite a wealth of research on dyslexia, there are many literacy experts who deny it exists and diminish the work of those who have made significant impacts in advocating for schools to pay attention to the science. This is dangerous, and it is directly linked to the reading wars and the fundamental differences between the science of reading and balanced literacy approaches. This week, you watched a PBS news story about dyslexia and then read about the controversy that followed. I was shocked when I read the initial letter of the 57 experts to the seemingly light story by PBS. It was hard for me to make it through the letter as it was full of incorrect information. Dr. Steve Dykstra wrote a perfect reply, spelling out the misinformation noted in the letter of the 57 reading voices. The reading wars are alive and well, and this can be seen very clearly when looking at services for children with dyslexia. As Dr. Dykstra notes in his rebuke of the 57 experts who wrote a letter taking issue with the PBS report, the common purpose of these partners is to undermine the work of parents and grassroots organizations working to promote the science of reading in opposition to the discredited philosophies, ineffective practices, and failed products the 57 signers prefer. Dr. Dykstra nicely outlines the errors of the 57 signers of the letter to PBS. The DSM does include dyslexia. The research the 57 cited was taken out of context and missed the point. Please do read his letter, the letter of the 57, and the appendices. The main point the 57 make is that it, quote, suggests erroneously that there is scientific certainty about dyslexia and how it should be addressed instructionally. In fact, the research evidence is equivocal, and there is much room for debate about whether dyslexia is an identifiable condition, whether it can be reliably diagnosed, and whether there are instructional approaches that are uniquely effective in ameliorating it. Page 5. Yes, as we have discussed, there is some diagnostic vagueness to understanding who has dyslexia and who does not. But, like most human attributes, reading and troubles with reading exist on a continuum, and a variety of factors beyond just level of reading achievement need to be considered when diagnosing a child with dyslexia. This is not different than any diagnosis in humans. It is widely agreed that dyslexia is defined by concerns with basic word recognition skills of reading, phonological, phonics, spelling. It exists on a continuum. You can be a little dyslexic or severely dyslexic. Where we draw the line or cut score is arbitrary, and it is debated, but the areas of need are the same. Severity differs. We know where and how dyslexia manifests itself in the brain and the type of instruction that can rewire the brain and produce improved reading skills. There is scientific converging research. Yes, we are still learning, and new science will surely provide greater insight, but we do know dyslexia exists, how to identify it, and most importantly, how to treat it. Explicit, systematic, structured literacy instruction, targeting the areas of difficulty, not balanced literacy. And here is the heart of the matter, and the heart of the reading debate or wars. Structured literacy approaches, science of reading, work best for all children, but especially for children with disabilities. All children benefit from a structured literacy approach, but struggling readers, and especially those with reading disabilities like dyslexia, will not learn to read well without it. The 57 who signed this letter follow a balanced literacy approach. ILA does as well. They are defending their ideology. The sources that they hold up as evidence against dyslexia and build their argument that there is not a best way to teach children with dyslexia support a systematic, explicit approach, structured literacy approach. Both APA and the authors of the dyslexia debate clearly note this. S. Seidenberg notes in Chapter 8, quote, extreme skepticism about dyslexia is misguided and contrary to the best interest of children, end quote. The PBS debate was one example. Sadly, it is not the only example. The label dyslexia is meaningful in that it helps understand the areas of concern to look at, rather than simply looking at symptoms as noted by the type of test given. Low fluency scores lead to fluency interventions. Understanding dyslexia and word recognition concerns in general help us to go deeper to understand the underlying cause of low fluency. Phonological concerns, connecting sounds to letters, letter units, blending, spelling concerns. Each child with dyslexia is unique, but understanding the terrain of dyslexia allows us to explore strengths and needs and build interventions to meet the needs. Also, understanding that some children have significant needs, those with disabilities, and classroom teachers need support in meeting those needs. This is the purpose of special education resources. We need to remove the barriers to intervention and work together to understand and meet the needs of all students, especially those most vulnerable students. We are legally and ethically obligated to do this. And bigger than that, we are educators and want to make sure all children have what they need to succeed. To say that dyslexia doesn't exist or that we don't know what a child with dyslexia needs instructionally leads to ignoring a group of children who need us the most. All children benefit from structured literacy, the science of reading approach. It teaches the brain effective ways to create the reading circuit. We all have the same human brain. But those who struggle with reading, at-risk readers, dyslexic readers, readers with comprehension concerns, will not learn to read well without structured approaches provided by skilled teachers at a level of intensity that matches their reading concern.